What's up, guys? Specstar here today with my Week 5 Battle of LD. Right after the last one, because I believe for the prior week I was the last battle to get done. Aside from Chili, who of course is the top Johnner, he had some Beldums to catch. And for this week, I'm the first battle, so right back at it. Right now we are facing Dawn, who's 3-1 with a team consisting of Mandibuzz, Aerodactyl, Mega, Latios, Zoomerl, Heatran, and Hippowdon. And of course, Aerodactyl is a Pokemon we were very nervous about in prep. And by we, I mean me. I don't know why I use the plural for that. But I was very nervous about Aerodactyl. My plan for that thing is just to kind of chip it down and try to get in range of Absol Sucker Punch. Another Pokemon that was concerning to me is Heatran. I don't switch into too great to it, especially if it is a Z user. Particularly, I'd think about something like Bloom Doom, potentially, but there are numerous options. And so I'm going to switch over to my team and start to talk about my prep a little bit. And the first mon here is going to be my Mega Absol, and I'm going to be running I don't know, it's a mix between standard and a little bit out there, but I've got Knockoff and Sucker Punch, of course, those nice dark moves. Wanted to have Sucker Punch so I could have the potential to hit Aerodactyl. If I can get Aerodactyl in range of Sucker Punch, things do look promising for Absol. Ice Punch lets me hit things like Mandibuzz and Hippowdon. And Play Rough, oh boy, don't blank on me now, because there's a Pokemon that I think that was it was for some. Believe you me, it was for some. Oh, Hitmontop. Right, yeah, because Hitmontop was one of his best answers to this Pokemon. Play Rough allows me to hit that. I've just got speed for Latios on this thing. And mixed, of course, so Hippowdon isn't able to wall this thing. Next up here, I've got an interesting little Zygarde set. One of the things I noticed in prep is I found some vulnerability in his bulk to Toxic. His team is more offensive leaning, but I thought based on matchup, the Bring he would have would be more defensive leaning, and I thought that I could wear it down with my Toxic abuse. So I'm going to run a sub-protect Toxic Zygarde. I believe I had enough speed for Heatran on this. Yep, I've just put speed on this thing for Heatran. I've got a little bit of an interesting set. I wanted this thing to be specially defensive bulky, but it took 12 defensive EVs to be able to for sure take an Adamant Ice Fang from Aerodactyl from full. So that's the purpose of those. And next up here, I've got Tapu Bulu, another sub-toxic set. He is one Pokemon for this particular set, which is Roselia, and I wasn't sure if it was going to come. It wasn't necessarily the most frightening thing, even if it did. Everything else either gets worn down by Toxic, or in Heatran's case, does not appreciate its superpower. So that's kind of my thought process with this Bulu. Especially defensive lets me deal with Latios a little bit easier. Unless it's got some kind of steel wing tech, which would be sweet. Anyway, I wouldn't mind this thing getting rocked by that. And next up here, I've got a Cobalion, which is going to be another little bit of an out there set. Rocks, just because I love rocks on Cobalion. It also helps me wear down Aerodactyl, which is a priority. And I'm going to run Calm Mind, Flash Cannon, and Z Focus Blast. The main reason is because things I identified as a potential response to this are Mandibuzz, Hippowdon, and Hitmontop, all of which don't appreciate a pummeling after a Calm Mind, especially since I think at least two of them, if they did come, would be physically defensive. So that's my set there. Next up here, I've got a familiar eel set running my bulky Assaultfest, which I love on this Pokemon. Knockoff, Volt Switch, pretty self-explanatory. Grass Knot, just a good move for hitting Hippo. And Drain Punch covered things like Heatran and other things that I wanted to be able to hit with this Pokemon. Also getting a little bit of healing's never bad for this bulky mofo. And last up here, I've got Blastoise, which is just my spinner, my bulky physical wall. And the reason I've got Rocky Helmet and Aqua Jet on this Pokemon is just because this is a big part of my strategy to wear down Aerodactyl for Absol. Of course, Scald and Rapid Spin need no explanation. Toxic just it's pretty nice for the things that don't get hit by Scald aside from Roselia. So let's go back to the battle scene here. And I'll go to replay. And here I believe I just wanted to lead off with Eel, didn't I? He led off with Latios, I wanted to lead off with Eel. The reason being that, again, like last week, there wasn't really a Pokemon he could have led that would have made me really regret leading Eel. I'm fine with Latios. I would have been very happy if it was Aerodactyl. At Powerdon, I could have Grass Knotted that thing. Heatran might have been the worst, but it still wasn't bad at all. Azumarill, of course, I have no problem with Eel out on that Pokemon, and Mandibuzz also. So I'm going to lead off with Eel. He's going to lead off with Latios. And I'm just going to go for knockoff. The safe play, kind of get some information on the Latios if it does stay in. Maybe we can find out if he leaves it in, if it's a Z move or not, because that and Heatran are his two Z users. So I'm just going to go for knockoff. But go for a Toxic, which was pretty interesting right off the bat here. I'm going to knock him off and trigger his Colbur Berry, which is very interesting to see. Based on this, I'm going to find out if he has bulk, it's barely any. And knocking off the Colbur Berry is very good for Absol. So here, I'm just going to go for the Volt Switch as he roosts up. And the Volt Switch is going to put him in range of my Absol's knockoff. So I'm going to go right into Absol. I don't have Pursuit, but the great thing about Absol is he does not know that. And you'd think an Absol versus a Latios would have a very high chance of having it. I just couldn't really fit it into the moveset as I preferred to have Knockoff and Sucker. So I'm going to go right for my knockoff here. His best switch-in is probably Azumarill, and I wouldn't even mind knocking that thing off, so I'm pretty comfortable doing that. He's going to stay in fearing the Pursuit, which is going to be fortunate for me, and Absol is going to take the Latios out. So Latios for the first, or my Absol for the first time this season doing something. Nice to see at week 5 my Mega finally starting to do something. He's going to bring in Azumarill. My Tapu Bulu is pretty bulky, so that's going to be my initial on this Pokemon. And he is just going to go right for a Play Rough. I'm definitely taking note of the fact that he didn't immediately go for a Belly Drum. I got some interesting information on the Play Rough. It didn't look like he was max attack to me, so he definitely could have been Jolly with almost all investment in attack and then some put into dispersed among speed and HP. He definitely had some attack, but it didn't look, based on the calcs, that it could have been 252. So that's definitely something to make note of. And I'm just going to sub up, making the ultra safe play, see what his initial is. He's going to go into Mandibuzz, and I'm very happy to be able to Toxic that thing. I'm going to go right for my Toxic and hope he does decide to leave it in. So I'll get the Toxic off on Mandibuzz, which is very good for my team and wearing down his bulk. He's going to go for a Brave Bird, and I'm going to get healed up a lot by my leftovers in the terrain, so I'm just able to continue subbing up. He's battling the poison, and I'm getting a pretty good amount of healing, so this is comfortable for me. He'll U-turn, which does not break my sub and bring in Heatran, but I do have the superpower for this Pokemon, and I am glad to get it weakened. Grassy terrain is going to end here, so neither of us are getting the full healing. It's the last turn of terrain, right? So Heatran doesn't show to have leftovers, which is something to take note of. I'm going to go out into my Eel. He'll go for a Flamethrower. My thought process here was that if he did want to leave this Pokemon in, he would potentially do one of two things. I think he would either get up rocks or go for a Fire MZ if he did want to leave this in on Eel. And if he did want to switch out, there is the potential he goes into Hippo, which would be bad if I went for a Volt or Drain Punch, which I would want to do in the face of Heatran. So what covers both a Fire AMZ for Heatran, a Stealth Rock, or a Hippo switch in is Blastoise. So I'm going to make my double in a Blastoise here. And he is actually just going to go for a Flamethrower again, which is not what I was expecting. Unfortunately, Blastoise will get burned there. And I am just going to go for my Scald as he goes down to Mandibuzz. No, I'm going to double, my bad. No, sorry. I'm going to double into my Cobalion here, or actually a triple, because my thought process is that he hasn't shown an item, he may well have the Bloom Doom for the Blastoise, and he may well switch, and with either of those two plays, Cobalion is going to cover those, so I'm actually going to go out into my Cobalion here. And I will do that. He's first going to go out into his Mandibuzz, and that Pokemon is about as good as a free Rocks as there is for Cobalion. Can defog them away, but cannot sit in the face of Cobalion, so I should be good to keep them up. He's going to U-turn out, and he's going to go into Hippo. I think there's a very high possibility of him making a prediction for me to go out into Bulu here. So I think there's a real possibility he will either make a double or click Rocks, which makes me just want to click Calm Mind here. It will also, even if he does stay in, I take an Earthquake and it's going to put him in range of my pummeling with my boost. So he goes for an Earthquake. He could switch here, but whatever he goes into is going to die to Cobalion, so I'll just fire off my Z move. And I'm going to take down the Hippo. You ever see a Cobalion just drop a Hippo like that? That was pretty fun to see. Next, he's going to bring in his Aerodactyl. I'm just going to go in my Blastoise. Cobalion still has use. So he's going to go for an Earthquake. And I'm actually just going to go for an Aqua Jet here, predicting him to go for Stone Edge to take this thing out. I'm going to get a little bit of damage off on that thing because I'm burned. He will go for the Stone Edge, and this thing is almost in range of Absol. Just need a little bit more damage off on this thing to get in range of my Sucker Punch. So to do that, I'm going to go into Zygarde, because I don't think Zygarde is going to force Aerodactyl out. And I know I take any hit from this Pokemon, and 1,000 Arrows will definitely put him in range of Sucker Punch. And if he will survive the 1,000 Arrows, but if he does decide to switch out, he will be in range of my beautiful little Rocks there. So that's my thought process here. He's gonna go for Ice Fang. I live it, but I'm going to get flinched. So unfortunately, Zygarde's life will be lost for naught here. I'm just going to go for Protect. He will go for his Ice Fang here. And actually here, I'm going to switch out into my Cobalion, thinking that Zygarde, even at its low of health, was more important than Cobalion at this point, because it does still have the potential to force a KO later in the game. And I'm going to go into my Electros here, because based on his prior damage from attacks of my Pokemon, I've learned that he is not adamant or just not fully invested in attack, and his set is not able to take my Electros out with the highest roll of Stone Edge. So I can bring that Pokemon in and kind of put pressure on him. He has no Hippo, so I'm able to Volt Switch out, and I'm able to stay out of range of Stone Edge. Heatran's going to drop down here, and I'm going to go out into my Bulu, which has a favorable matchup against anything he could bring in right now. He can't bring in his Aerodactyl with the terrain up because my Horn Leech does too much and he doesn't take me out. Plus he does need to defog, which he will do here, but I get to bring in my Zygarde in on Mandibuzz, which is presumably setup fodder for my Zygarde based on what I have on its set. And Zygarde's getting healed up a little bit. I will sub up, and he is just going to U-turn out of there, but he has nothing safe to bring in on my Zygarde. He's going to bring in a Azumarill, and I'm just going to Toxic this thing, try and wear it down. If he does go for his Belly Drum, my Bulu is invested to be faster than this thing, so I will be fine if he drums up. He's going to go for Play Rough, and I am free to just click my Protect here, get some health back, because again, if he drums up, it's not the end of the world for me. He'll go for Play Rough on my Protect, and I'm just getting all the way healed. Drain's gonna end, but there's still enough subs up for me to be able to stall this thing out. And here he's actually gonna go for, this is an interesting bit of prep here. He's gonna go for his natural Get Poison, but I was just prepared to let Zygarde stall this Pokemon out. I did not want to force Bulu in there, especially with Bulu being out of range of a wing attack right now. So I'm going to sub up here on the Natty Gift, and fortunately I'm going to be able to keep my sub here. And I'm going to go for Protect, just stall this thing out further. Goes for Play Rough, and now I just want to click my 1,000 Arrows, which I will do here. And unfortunately it's not able to kill the Azumarill, so he will be able to break my sub here with a Play Rough. And Aerodactyl is able to come in and revenge me with Ice Fang now. So we will see the arrow come in. I'm just gonna click my 1,000 Arrows because I'm not gonna goof around here, because I do not want to let the thing roost up if he does have it. I'm gonna bring in my Eel again, click Volt Switch. He goes in Mandibuzz, but I remain out of range of an attack from Aerodactyl. Mandibuzz is gonna let Bulu come in here, and Bulu is just gonna be able to sub up, play these shenanigans with Mandibuzz with sub up, Horn Leech, sub, that, oh, I got a little bit behind there. He will be able to break my sub and go down here as the terrain expires. So now it's all down to Aerodactyl versus the world. Aerodactyl's gonna come in, and I'm just gonna click Horn Leech. I'm not gonna let him roost, and I'm gonna try and keep him out of range of my, or in range of my Sucker Punch, my bad. But him showing Aerial Ace here, I now know all 4 of his moves, and none of them are roofs, so I am able to safely bring in my Absol here and win the game with Sucker Punch. And that is going to be a 2-0 victory. GG to my opponent. It was a pretty fun game for me. I got to show off some out there wacky sets, which is always the best part of Pokemon, competitive Pokemon anyway. And I'm going to move on to 3-2 plus 5 after that game. Definitely nice to be in the positive after starting off 1-2. Was driving me mental because I am not used to that losing thing, and I hope to not become reacquainted with it as the season progresses after getting into the positive here. And to recap some of the performances, Zygarde, Tapu Bulu, Cobalion, and Blastoise will suffer a KO. I will get KOs in this game. Let me try to remember them. Oh boy, Zygarde got 1, and its KO was on the Azumarill, right? Tapu Bulu will get the KO on the Mandibuzz. The Latios will be KO'd by Mega Absol, which also is a KO on the Aerodactyl. Heatran was KO'd by my Electros, and the Hippowdon was KO'd by my Cobalion. So Cobalion, Zygarde, Tapu Bulu, and Electros will all have 1 KO, and Absol will finally lead the team with 2. Absol, who had not done too much this season, finally shows up in a big way